tell me the truth, that's all. I think about men. I don't know why. And I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, let's start by, why did your parents decide that this institution you went to was the best course for you?
Yeah, I mean, when I was outed, my dad had no idea what to do. He said, I can't imagine you staying in this family like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was a very small town. We had some set ideas about what homosexuality was. And he called a church in Memphis, Tennessee, called Bellevue Baptist Church. And when he called them, the pastor said, the only way forward is to go to this place called Love in Action.
So they thought they were helping you, essentially.
They
saving
did.
you, maybe.
I mean, I'm careful to talk about it. You know, I know that they now do not think they were helping me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that their motivations were mixed, because I think bigotry is involved in that, right? Like, you can think you're helping someone and you can also be disgusted with who they are. And I think that that mixture was in my father. I was 18, so I could have ostensibly said no. The problem with that is that I was saying yes under duress. I mean, my parents controlled my financial future. I was in a community that felt very homophobic. There should never be a moment when anyone acting as a professional says, this is the way forward, you should change your sexual orientation. It's just not scientifically proven, it's not scientifically sound.
How did they try to change you?
Well, I mean, they knew that I saw myself as gay or used that label, and they made me do these things called moral inventories, which were basically just long speeches given to the whole group at Love in Action, where we had to talk about our sexual experiences and or thoughts. And this is the first time I'm talking about any of this out loud to anyone. And that first moment was also when I was shamed about my feelings. So it was an incredibly harmful practice to be coming into your own and understanding what that means, and at the same time aligning that with a sense of shame and guilt.
I mean, you're growing up in a small town, you have a religious father, you're beginning to think that you're gay, and now you're in this place
where you're with a bunch of LGBTQ people.
And they're judging you, and they're shaming you.
Yeah.
I mean, what, put me inside your head. What were you feeling like day to day?
I was just so embarrassed, I think. That's the word that comes to mind the most, because it felt like, first of all, I knew nothing was changing. It wasn't working. But I also knew that I had to do it or else I'd lose everything.
And then you're harder on yourself.
Yeah.
You're getting upset at yourself.
And I'm
you're
praying
punishing yourself.
every night to change. I'm abstaining from anything like books, movies, you know, anything that could entertain me or distract me from this terrible thing that's happening to me. And
they're saying your soul is at stake, right?
Yeah, they believe you're going to go to hell or you were never saved, you know, as the way they would look at it. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to reconstruct it, but I think the most I felt was embarrassment and then anger. And the anger was the only thing that propelled me out of there.
I mean, you're in a better place now, but do you think there were long-term effects of the kind of methods they used?
They're still with me.
Really?
I mean, the reason I first started writing Boy Erased was I found a blog of people talking about how conversion therapy affected them years later. And I read one report where someone said that they couldn't touch their partner certain nights because the shame felt so intense and it felt like their skin was burning. And I had the same exact feeling. And what's so strange, and you only realize it later, this is why you feel so dumb. Like, of course that's not normal. Of course that's not a normal sexual experience. But you don't know that when the only thing you've ever known is shame. And so, you know, you just think everyone else walks around feeling from time to time as if their skin's on fire and that they don't want to touch a person. You know, and maybe some people do for other reasons, other traumas. But the common denominator is that it's all trauma.
Mom. What's the matter?
Please, I'm in trouble.
Open the door now.
You may have to walk away from everything, everyone.
that something isn't right.
You're gonna ruin that child.
What are your actual qualifications, Mr. South? Shame on you!
I mean, you have this book, but now it's a movie with the Nicole Kidman. What do you think Boy Erased can do that maybe the book hasn't yet?
I think the book was more for my own community. I think this movie is more for an advocacy that can raise awareness on the fact that this is even going on. I mean, at almost every screening I go to, people are so surprised. And these are liberal audiences who
Surprised
should know
that conversion
therapy is a thing. These are liberal audiences who should know this is happening.
And what are some of the common long-term effects you see from people who have undergone conversion therapy? Are we talking
Well, we
depression?
instantly recognize each other.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
You call each other survivors. I mean, that's a heavy term.
Yeah, it is. Well, we did, and many of us didn't survive. There were a lot of suicides. I think when you survive something like that, you also carry survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
A lot of it. As troubling as it is to see this in the news over and over again, we're happy that conversion therapy is finally getting its moment.
What do you hope in terms of like what needs to change in America? I see your pin there. I don't know if that's a reference
I'm so glad.
to.
Yeah. So
like, are we talking legislation? Like, in terms of more than awareness?
Yeah. Awareness only goes so far.
So then what?
So we have the 50 States, 50 Bill initiative from the Trevor Project, and it's basically to create a bill in every state that outlaws conversion therapy for minors. That's the first hurdle. Then, we've got to look at, can we make conversion therapy be labeled as fraud, because it is. And even if religious organizations can do conversion therapy, make it so that they can't charge for it.
Right.
That'll at least get rid of a lot of them, because I think as much as people talk about their lofty goals about helping, LGBTQ people come back to Christianity or whatever, money is involved. And Love in Action, where I went, I learned later made $1 million the year I was there. That's not a small amount for a small operation like that.
Right.
So I think when we get rid of the ability to make money off of this and charge for it, I think you'll see that most things in America operate according to money.